Got promoted at work last week. Boss said I'm doing well. Gave me new trainers, new iPhone, even an e-bike for deliveries. Working late most nights now, weekends too. Can't really tell mum where I'm going or what I'm carrying. Boss says best she doesn't know. Says if I stop showing up, he knows where my little sister goes to school. He knows where my little sister goes to school. That's not a promotion, that's exploitation. County lines gangs groom kids with gifts, then trap them with threats. If you've noticed changes in a young person, they could be a victim of County Lines gangs. Call Crime Stoppers, 100% anonymous, on 0800 555 111.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Welcome to How Are the Podcast. It's Gav and you join us for today's opposition preview, where we are joined by a fan of the club we're about to face, and Sunderland take on Leeds United at Elland Road on Tuesday under the lights. Some would say it's a fairly daunting task, and I'm about to pick the brains of the man on the opposite side of the chair to me today to find out if that is indeed the case. And it's an old friend of the pod, as today we're joined by Conor McGilligan from the OneLeeds YouTube channel. Hello, mate.
Best intro ever, Brad, mate. I appreciate that. Everything was right. The name, the YouTube channel. Yeah, all good, Gav. Great to be on here again, pal. Yeah, all good, man.
What's best about that, I've got no notes in front of us. The lads who I do the podcast with know that I don't take notes. I don't put any prep in. I don't even do any research. The best you get out of me is like I might open the Premier League table and just have that. So I know where Leeds are in the table and I know who you played last. And then that's about the level of my prep. Like, so to be told that I nailed the intro is pretty special, actually.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So you're doing all right then?
I am, mate. Yeah, I'm not too bad. Just telling you off air that we've had we've had a football 11-a-side today, and we've got through to the semi-finals, and then one of the captains going to Australia to actually live his life, and I'm stuck here in miserable old England whilst he's going off and as a youngster enjoying his life. So yeah, mate, not bitter at all, as you can probably tell. But I'm sat here. I don't think we've got any visuals, have we? But I'm sat here in Sunderland colours, which is a problem actually, and that is that's the colours of my football team. Really, we're just avoiding. We've got a little bit of white here as well, but it's a red, white, and a sort of black combo that we've got going on with my football team. So apart from that, mate, I'm all good. How are yourself?
Yeah, good. What's your team called?
It's actually Uni Halls. So the name of the team is called Daunted United, which is they'll love that little plug. If they ever heard this, I can't tell you, Gav, they'd be over the moon. So Daunted United. If there's any like right backs or left backs who fancy a game in Manchester at any point, head on down. Yeah, head on down.
Yeah, there's plenty of Sunderland fans living in the Manchester area. You never know. Anyways, on to matters in the Premier League, mate. The last time we chatted was end of December, just after Christmas, when we played each other last. And you were obviously in a different headspace, I think, at that point. I think things were just turning a corner with Leeds. I think Daniel Farke had just changed the system. You were buzzing with that at the time. It looks like things have gone pretty well since then, really. I was just checking up before there, and other than a handful of defeats to decent teams other than Newcastle, Leeds have done all right, really. You must be happy with where you're at, even though you're not safe yet.
Yeah, Gav, 100%, man. It's interesting because I guess it's kind of, I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to Leeds. I grew up watching that Champions League team, so I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to just standards, expectations, and all that sort of stuff. But when Farke started the season, and I think when me and you were speaking, it might have been in that period, to be honest. And I was thinking to myself, he's got to go to a 3-5-2 because of how we recruited and, the certain personnel that we brought in. We weren't getting the best out of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's very isolated consistently. Put two up top, all change. But it's honestly, mate, it's bizarre. Bizarre how, we were literally relegation fodder. 3 losses on the bounce to Brighton, Forest and Villa, and we looked minging. We didn't look good. There was maybe 35 minutes against Villa where we looked all right. Brighton was honking. Forest was honking, and the second half of City, I think we spoke about it last time out, but it was a little bit earlier on. Leeds were absolutely brilliant, and we should have got something at the Etihad, and not many teams will be able to say that really. And from then, Gav, we're just horrendous to play against. That's where I'd put us up. And I was sat there watching the City game last night, and I'm disappointed. And look, we've been in the Champo in the exact same moment, and I know you got a point against City. But I'm looking at that City game, and obviously we lost yesterday. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I'm absolutely knocked off that we haven't got anything out of that. And I think I then sat back and thought, do you know what? We're actually a good team. We're a good team. And I think that's the point of which I've got to now. It's just the fact that I'm looking at Leeds, and I've actually got that sort of mindset of, we're not lucky, we're not plucky little Leeds, punching above our weight. Look, we're going up against every single team in the division, really. When you look at Chelsea, look at Man United, you look at Liverpool, we've not lost in any of those games. We've battered Palace, battered Chelsea. And we've lost 3 games in, I think it's 16 or 17 matches. So in the Premier League, as a newly promoted side, as you will know, and that's kind of good perspective wise when you're talking to a Sunderland fan. It's very impressive, mate. And we just as you guys, I watch a lot of Sunderland. I make a lot of Sunderland content as well on my second channel. And you guys are difficult to beat normally when Granit Xhaka is available. and we are very difficult to beat at this moment in time. And I think that's it's kudos to us both, mate. So virtual handshake.
I think I've been making this point to people repeatedly over recent weeks, and I think it's probably came true because of the fact Wolves took points off Arsenal and Villa in the last week. You've got Burnley, who really, if we're being fair, were robbed of a couple of goals at the weekend, and took Brentford, who are one of the top teams in the league, all the way. I don't believe there are any bad teams in the Premier League, if I'm honest. I keep saying this to people because we had Sunderland fans who were apoplectic about losing to Fulham, and I was like, hang on, Fulham had an injury, and it was the Brazilian winger Kevin. He came off, who they paid 50-odd million for, and on came Oscar Bob, who they paid 40 million for, and I'm like, this is Fulham, and they've got that level of player on the bench to bring on for players of that level. I genuinely think that the standard in the Premier League is unbelievable. So to do what Leeds have done and what Sunderland have done, I think is remarkable, really, because the standard is that high.
Yeah, mate, completely agree. It's any team you play, isn't it? It's literally any team you play. You're looking at the bench, you're looking at the starting 11, and like you just quite rightly said, I mean, we managed to beat Fulham at home. It was the last gasp winner, which was obviously very important, but they were very good. I was saying this to a couple of my mates who were down there. I said, "What do you think of them in this game?" And they said, literally, they're one of the best passing teams to come to Elland Road. How they're able to just keep the ball and then really, really quickly speed it up, and they're in that final third, and you're thinking, whoa, how have they done that? How have they done that so quick? And then you've got bodies who are really, ball orientated, able to just produce moments of magic, which we've even seen today against Tottenham. We're recording on the Sunday with Spurs, and man, Chuck Wayze is coming, looks excellent, but there's just players everywhere. You are right, and that's why some Leeds fans have maybe looked at our run-in and said, it's winnable, and it is by Premier League standards, because we've come through, honestly, Gav, we've come through 10 or 12 games over the Christmas period where it's been horrific, mate. It's every game you're looking at and going, oh my God, how are we going to get there? What are we going to do here? It's ridiculous. And even when you go a little bit earlier on to your Brentford. Your Brentford's away down at the G-Tech, and it's a horrible game to play because of how good they are at home. And then you've got Sunderland away. Obviously, you've got them at the Stadium of Light at that moment, I think. And Leeds go there and put in a decent performance. And, we've come up against a lot of really good teams this season, especially in this last 12. And you're thinking, it's tough. It's really tough. But yeah, mate, you've got to be, I think Farker mentioned it the other day, to beat Man City, to beat Arsenal, to beat Liverpool, but even to beat the mediocre teams in this division, you literally have to be 10 out of 10. And that's the standard. And that's what Leeds and Sunderland have got to keep up every single week. And that's why you've probably seen blips with us both at stages, maybe a little bit more you so now to what you were, because the standard of what you're coming up against, especially towards the back end of the season, it's just too good. The orientation, the rotations in general, like, it's hard, very, very hard. But yeah, man, I mean, like you say, it's utmost respect so far to what we've both done, really.
Just reflecting back on that game, really, the one that we played earlier in the season at the Stadium of Light, I remember, not the lick arse here, like, but I remember coming away from that and being like, actually, Leeds are probably one of the best teams we've faced at the stadium. I think easily Calvert-Lewin was the best striker I've seen at the Stadium of Light this season.
I told you that before.
You did. You did. But Calvert-Lewin probably up there with Jimenez from Fulham in terms of like just giving us a game and getting into us.
Yeah.
I think there's not many other players have came to the stadium and done that from a centre forward perspective. And like Sunderland had to work hard, and I think that's it. I wonder how much that's going to play into this game as well, because the managers kind of felt each other out a bit, particularly over the last couple of seasons. Having played in the Championship, we all remember that game at Elland Road last season where Sunderland took the lead and then Leeds went on late to win it. So they've all been close games over recent years, and I think that makes this a really interesting game. Like if I was a neutral on Tuesday night, just looking to put something on the TV and watch, I'd be watching Leeds and Sunderland. I do think this is going to be a proper ding dong.
Yeah, when you lot came to town last year, obviously we were flying high at the top, and I remember because I'd watched a lot of Sunderland, and naturally because you just look in your lane, don't you, Gav? You look where you are, your own road, and you're watching your games week in week out. And that's what football fans do. It's probably what you do. It's probably what I do a lot of. But I just kept a keen eye on Sunderland because I thought to myself, you're looking at cutting away the chasing pack, really. And there was Sheffield United there was you lot. You came to Elland Road that night, and what I thought by a country mile the best team that we'd played. Like, almost like it felt like a Premier League encounter. It was a proper, obviously, ding dong with both fans. Brilliant support. Brilliant support on the night. It was the atmosphere was excellent. But in terms of on the ball, I thought Sunderland were very good, very economical, playing the right passes in the right spaces, and just looked strong. And I thought, flipping it, we need to. That's why it was so big, Gav, beating you boys and those last minute headers. It was massive because I looked at Sunderland, and that was probably my biggest outpouring of emotion that season. Maybe that and Sheffield United away. My biggest outpourings of emotion, because I thought like we desperately need to win it. And when you went 1-0 up, we were in a bit of a hairy situation. You were defending well, you looked comfortable. It was like, as the team at the top, I'm thinking, what do we do here to break them down? But it's just lucky enough we had enough on the pitch to be able to do to do just that. But I agree, it's always been a ding dong, and it, Gav. For the past 30 years, it's always been a ding dong. You'll be able to, find the historical context of which you've definitely got the utmost margin on us. But it's always been a good game between Leeds and Sunderland. It was actually at the Stadium of Light my first ever away game. Smith and Viduka double back in, I think it was 2001, and I can't remember if you lads scored. Might have been Phillips or Quinn, shockingly. But yeah, just brilliant games between both sides, mate. And yeah, it's good. It's good. Hopefully, we can both just maintain our positions, and have a good bout on Tuesday night.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the word night there. That's what I'm interested in, because it's become a bit of a thing. Like, people still now, Stoke haven't played in the Premier League for years, but they still go, but could they do it on a cold Tuesday night at Stoke? But the games at Elland Road under the light have sort of become their own thing. is it a thing? Like, do you genuinely think that it's an intimidating place to come on a night game, Elland Road? Because
I do.
I don't know too much about it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I do, Gav. I think like, I think if, for example, we played Arsenal, it was either at 12 or 3 o'clock. I feel like it could have been 3 o'clock. But it was just a bit of a damp squib, the atmosphere, and the players feed off it. They just do. And Elland Road it's a bear pit, mate. Like, it's an absolute bear pit. It needs a lick of paint. It needs a bit of renovation. It needs all those modernizations that we're all used to now, being in the game and all this sort of thing. But it's one of the old school grounds. And when you've got 40,000 in there and 25,000 of them are absolutely off the rocker after the beers all day, and the atmosphere is dialed up to 10, 12, it's different, mate. It is. I mean, I've been there multiple times on night games in comparison to 3 o'clocks and 12:30s. Elland Road's it's different like that. And I mean, before the City game, of which, by the way, you watch that game, we should have got something from that game. I mean, 100% we should have got something from that game. Aside from that, we've not been beaten in 3.5 years at Elland Road, under the lights.
Wow.
So it's definitely, backed up by that data, I guess, in a sense. So yeah, Leeds feed off it, mate. And I think the players do as well. The players are aware of it, and yeah, there's a real synergy between the fans, the inebriated fans, let's put it that way, and the players by sort of 5:30, 7:30, I think.
It's interesting, actually, that because it is such a factor. Like, we've even, maybe to a lesser extent, because Sunderland's ground's a newer ground than Elland Road, but you look at like West Ham and you look at Tottenham, and they just can't get going at home, and the fans aren't really in love with the ground. And one of the things we've heard consistently throughout the season from Sunderland fans is because we're going to a lot of new grounds or grounds we haven't been to in a long time, and people are like, it doesn't have any sort of feel in this place. It's a bit
Yeah.
there's a lot of soulless grounds in the division, but I have a ground where it's full of soul and it's vibrant and the people love it and there's so much history there. You have to use that to your advantage in games. You just have to, don't you?
Of course you do, mate. Yeah, and we're not. I think us. The interesting thing is, I think us guys are pretty similar away from home. I think we're on like 10 points. I think you're like on 11 points away from home. So it's you're a newly promoted side in the Premier League. It's difficult to pick points up, on the road. But we've made the Stadium of Light. We've made Elland Road an absolute fortress. But there is something. Yeah, there's a media narrative definitely around Elland Road, and they've started calling it under the Leeds now, and it does feel like that because it's. Do you know what it is, Gav? I don't know. I think it's probably the same with Sunderland. You always hear that. I always remember with Sunderland, you hear that rattle. Like, I don't know what that rattle is, but you do hear it all the time at the Stadium of Light. And it's that things like there'll be a tackle. There'll be a tackle. Ampadu will go in, he'll marshal into Ruben Diaz, and all of a sudden they all get up for it. It's like a goal. They'll all get up for it, and then they're all ready and there for the fight. And as long as Leeds are still there with the intensity, the crowd will match it, and it's a real force, mate. 100%.
Well, I think we'll quickly nip for a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about what you think's going to happen in this game and who's going to play for Leeds. So join us after the break.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
Find the biggest voices in sports on the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Like the late-breaking F1 podcast hosted by Ben Hocking, Harry Eade and Sam Sage.
We cover every race, all the biggest topics in between. It's unfiltered F1 chat with the genuine insight you only get from 3 long-time best friends.
Search Late-Breaking F1 podcast and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
And welcome back to Howe're the Podcast. And as Conor was just explaining there before the break, it's a bit difficult going to Elland Road and getting a result. So Sunderland have got to try and do that. How would you reckon? Obviously, Man City have just done it. Arsenal did it, a month ago. So what's the secret? Have you just got to be really, really good to beat Leeds?
You got to match us, I think, because Leeds will, and Leeds are a good team, Gav. Like as you've quite rightly said previously on the podcast. I mean, I'll be honest, mate, that's my goal of the season against Sunderland. It was a beautiful team goal from goalkeeper, to defence, to midfield, to the finishing touches. It was a beautiful team goal, and that's what Leeds can do. And I think in this game in particular, it's going to be that. I don't think we're going to go with like 2 up top. I think we're going to try play against Sunderland, which it'll be interesting to see how Regis Labrise plays against that, of course. But yeah, how do I see this going? I see it's been extremely tight, mate. I see it literally going the exact. I'm gonna go, obviously being a Leeds fan. Sorry, Gav, and the podcast there, but I'm obviously gonna go with the Leeds win. But honestly, mate, I see it been extremely tight. I could probably see it going the exact same way as it went last season. You guys going 1-0 up, being pretty comfortable, and us maybe coming back into it later on. I could see that sort of vibe, to be honest. So,
but in terms of like, if Sunderland are going to get something, what is that? What is that thing about Leeds that is gettable? What do we have to do to beat Leeds, particularly at home?
I think you've got to get Enzo Lefebvre into the game a little bit. I think between the lines, you've got to move the ball quickly. If you're able to dominate the game for the first 10 minutes, that will really quiet the crowd down, as as what happens with a lot of away crowds. But if you're able to dominate the ball, keep it and not let Leeds have possession, not let Leeds gain momentum. Because the thing is, Gav, if you let Leeds have a couple of chances within that first, City had it yesterday for 30 minutes where we battered them. If you let Leeds get on top and have that intensity and have the ball and generate chances, that's where the crowd really get up on it as well. What you guys have to do is take the needle out the crowd. Keep the ball, quell it down. You guys are on 36 points. We're on 31 points. There's no pressure on you whatsoever. Take the sting out the game. Hit the channels. Play to Isidor's, who I presume is going to be playing. Play to his tendencies. And just frustrate the Leeds crowd. Win fouls in the opposition area where the Leeds fans don't like it. Bit of gamesmanship. That is exactly how you deal with that, and that's what Arsenal did. That's what, to be fair, we even in the Champo, we've seen Burnley do it, and Swansea do it, where they come to Elland Road and they play the percentages, they take the sting out of the crowd, and as soon as you do that, that's how you get on top. But if you let Leeds get on top, I will outrightly say it'll be a tough night for you.
What about the manager as well? Because he got sent off, didn't he, at the end of the game? By the way, that felt like a farce to me. We've done all weekend is moan about referees, and there's been so much in the Premier League this weekend. But he sent him off, didn't he? Before he'd even got within a couple of yards of him.
Yeah,
I don't even think he'd had it unless Farke's like really clear on what he said from about 20 yards away, and the referees heard something and just didn't like it. It just felt like he was just ready to do it before he'd even said a word. But is that going to have much of an impact, do you think, given he's not going to be by the side of the pitch?
It's funny, mate. Like, I'd love to say to you, yes, it will make an impact. Leeds are going to be crap and all that sort of stuff. Just give you that little bolster. But I don't know if it will. I think there was a game where he was sent off. It was last season. He was sent off against Sheffield United, and we won the game 3-1, and we were brilliant. So I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. I guess in some ways, from a psychology perspective, it might help certain players. I've no idea. Not been berated by Farke on the bench, but it was, man. I don't know if you lot are the same, but VAR is taken.
Oh, don't get us. If you listen to our podcast, which we recorded this morning, so it went out on Sunday, we spent 50 minutes talking about VAR. VAR ruined the game for us at the weekend. So we'll not open any old wounds up. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's we had one with Grove yesterday. Grove was kind of jerky stamped on him, and no Leeds players got around the referee. How I see it is, unless you as a group start berating and going around the referee, and there's 6 or 7 of you doing it or whatever, it'll never even get looked at. Like we had the ball was put in the box for Leeds right at the end, and it was going on to Dominic Calvert-Lewin's chest. Matheus Nunes' hand gets in the way. He doesn't know anything about it, but I'm then like, well, what's the handball route then? Because that ball is coming in, it's hitting Dominic Calvert-Lewin's chest, and he's probably getting a shot off. So Matheus Nunes has got his arm in the way. So I know he doesn't mean it, but but he's obstructing a potential goal for Leeds United. So surely that's a penalty. I don't know what I have no idea what handball is anymore, to be honest. So
it completely depends who's it. There's no consistency because you saw Ashley Barnes' goal get ruled out, there's no certainty that it hit his arm. The Evan Nilsson goal against Sunderland hits his shoulder, rolls down his arm and into the net, doesn't touch any part of his body other than his arm, and the goal gets given despite VAR looking at it. So it doesn't seem to matter who the referee is; it's completely inconsistent. So you can't even try and get your head around it because it just depends who the VAR officials are at the time.
Would you rather have VAR or not have VAR?
Well, we got promoted because of VAR. Like, it helped us, like in the final of the playoffs. So it's part of us thing. I quite like it sometimes, but since we've come into the Premier League, it's just been it's every week. I mean, I'm not just talking about this weekend, but we've had pretty much every game in the last month has had really contentious decisions relating to VAR. That the call, like VAR's supposed to be there to help you get things right, and it just doesn't ever seem to. It just feels to me like it's there just to annoy us, to be honest.
And it just also feels like, Monday Night Football. If Sunderland and Leeds, if Sunderland, if there's a decision, whatever, and it goes out our way, and maybe the other side feel aggrieved, if it's like Man City or Arsenal, it's the whole thing's going to be about how Arsenal and Man City are aggrieved, not about Sunderland and Leeds. And that's the whole thing. I think they're worried about these top six clubs and the notoriety and the attention that it gets. Whereas Sunderland and Leeds, really, who cares? If they're a bit aggrieved by a decision like we were yesterday, like you guys have been on the Saturday, the other day, who cares? Who's really that bothered? It's going to be a little bit of noise, but then it's going to quell, innit? If you've got Guardiola and you've got Arteta and you got Gabriel speaking out, you got Ruben Diaz speaking out, it's becoming a big thing. That's more pressure for the referees, isn't it? And that's just it's how the game's just died, mate, in so many respects for me.
You just know this game's going to be decided by a dodgy VAR call now. We've sat and complained about it. But anyways, sort of back to the game, I guess. What you expect in terms of team selection? Because to be honest, I'm looking at the team that played against City, and it looks largely the same team that Leeds have played virtually all season. There's not a lot of difference in there. I mean, it looks pretty similar to the team that played against Sunderland, so I presume you're not expecting loads of changes.
Yeah, Gav, I'd love to give you some sort of extensive monologue on how it's going to change, mate, but I don't think it'll be pretty samey unless there's any other injuries, mate. Maybe the one it was Rodon might be out for this one, but then Biol had come straight in. Who's been probably one of our best players this season anyway, and there's an argument that Rodon should come out for him anyway. So yeah, mate, that's kind of what I'm looking at, to be honest. Nothing extensive to give you, unfortunately.
And your width all comes from the fullbacks, presumably, get the ball into Calvert-Lewin. I remember you saying all of these things last time we spoke. It's like the style hasn't changed much. That's pretty commendable, actually, really, because obviously, particularly at the top level, you've got really well paid data analysis and people looking at teams ahead of games to try and work out holes and all that. Leeds' game plan, actually, if you look at it, it's like, get the ball up to Calvert-Lewin, get players around them, win the second balls. It's nothing fancy, is it? But it's effective.
It is, mate. Yeah, and we will do that. But do you know what, Gav? You're probably and your listeners are the biggest sort of probably will be the understanding to this. We can play as well. We can play. It's just Leeds pick the moments where there's been multiple goals this season where you look at it and think it's a good footballing team. We're a good footballing team in the Championship. A lot of them is still there. Who can do that? Who would dominate in possession? Who are playing out from the back? And I think that's what Farke wants to do. He wants Leeds United to be playing out from the back, but almost have that thing in the back pocket where they can go long, and I think that's where the problem was at the beginning of the season, where it was just us playing out from the back consistently and getting caught, and we were going down. It was very Vincent Kompany, Burnley, Russell Martin, Southampton. We were going down, and now we've been able to switch that up a little bit. It makes Leeds a little bit more unpredictable, and there's a lot. Do you know what, Gav? There's a lot of very, very good technical players in that team. A lot of very good technical players in that team who have been similar to you boys, who've been recruited for nothing, who would go for something. So yeah.
I think to be honest, just to survive in the Premier League, you've got to be, even the best technical teams have got to be able to battle, physically. I mentioned Fulham before.
to me, they out-battled Sunderland, and that hasn't happened often this season, where teams have just gone toe-to-toe with us physically, won more of the duels in the second balls, and just done the scruffy stuff that isn't very fancy. And you mentioned, like, Company's Burnley there, and Russell Martin Southampton. That wasn't them. And I just think maybe Farker, like Regis Labrise, has realised that certainly in your first season, you just have to muck in sometimes and just grind the points out in games where if you try to play really nice football all the time, you would just get beat.
That's it, mate. That is, you're completely right. You're completely right. You start playing out from the back. And there's an arrogance to it. And that's why I was very against Farker at the beginning of the season. I'll be brutally honest. I was like, I think he needs to be relieved of his duties. Thank you for your job. But if you're going to continue playing out from the back and we're in sort of late November, we're in the bottom three at that point, what are you doing? You properly need to adjust this. And if you don't adjust this, we're going down. And what's been the whole point in the last 2 or 3 years? There's been no point to it. So it's wasted time. But he's adjusted, mate. And in all fairness to him, at this moment in time, very similar to Regis Labrise, he's doing a good job. I mean, we've been like, I think it's 7th in the form table for like the past 7-8 weeks, which is some going for a promoted side, I'd say. So, yeah.
Oh, then how do you see this playing out? I know you said you're backing Leeds to win, but...
Well, now you've convinced me. I wish you hadn't done that. Wish I hadn't spoken to you. You can see in your face, Gav, to be honest.
What you thinking? Generally, like what? Nothing with your heart here. Think with your head. How do you see the game going?
Is that better for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. I think it's going to be extremely tight. I just wonder with Sunderland what maybe and look, there'll be objectives 100%. Of course, there will for Sunderland. I see Sunderland as beyond safe, obviously, and I just think Leeds, they're going to have that bit between the teeth a little bit more, because it's like if we are able to get anywhere close to Sunderland, then we're safe as well. I just maybe think that'll get us over the edge. I don't think there's any quality between the sides, to be honest with you, at all. And I think Leeds just might have the edge in terms of, and I think I'll be honest, I'm very happy Michele's out. I like him a lot. Brian Broby been out. I think it's big. I know Xhaka's back and he's starting, and you look miles better with him starting the game. And that, I think if he was out, I'd not very confident, but I'd be much more confident. But maybe just, mate, I'm going to go the exact same as last season. I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds.
When you look at the result, you look at the other fixtures, like with teams around the bottom three. Forest have got to go away to Man City, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Spurs don't play till Thursday. So Spurs have got Palace, which is, when you look at the league table, Spurs in 16th and Palace currently just a place above Leeds. Like, if if Palace win that game, they're virtually safe, and Tottenham
do you know what it is, Gav? If results go our way this week, this midweek, and we beat you, I think that's us. We've got to be on our way. You're looking at us there. We're on 34 points. West Ham have got a ridiculous points tally to make up there as well. And we put the pressure on them before they play on Wednesday. So, by the way, I watch Sunderland most weeks, and a lot of Sunderland fans who maybe tune into this will maybe know my name, because I do give Sunderland a lot of plaudits for what they've managed to do this season. So I think it's been very unique. But I just think, do you subscribe to that, Gav? I just think we might have a little bit more to fight for than what you guys have to fight for this game week, potentially.
The only thing where I kind of think maybe it's not quite as cut and dry, all the players and the manager have gone on about for weeks now, is hitting 40 points. It's all they've gone on about. Once we hit 40 points, we can breathe and we can look forward, and we are 3 points away from hitting 40 points. And to me, 40 points, I think we're safe, right?
Gav, just for this game week, can you just let us have a win? That'd be nice.
For me, 40 points means nothing, really. I think we're safe anyways. But it's all we've heard. We're all bothered about is hitting 40 points. Even when we were, probably just before we played Arsenal and Liverpool, when we were looking maybe more towards 8, 7, 6 at that time, and people were getting a bit carried away, and the media was speaking to the manager and saying, are the players talking about Europe? And he's like, all we're bothered about is 40 points. We battered Burnley, and Sky interviewed, I think it was Noah Siddiqui after the game. And he was like asked about Europe, and he went, we're just thinking of 40 points. Then we'll think about what happens afterwards. So while I agree with you, I think Leeds need the win more than Sunderland, definitely, because we've obviously got 6 more points. I just think there's something about this 40 points in this group. And because they've got a point at Bournemouth, they're now 3 points away. They get a win at Elland Road, they can breathe. So I think it just makes the game really interesting, if I'm honest. Stinks
of a draw, doesn't it?
It does, which I think for us would be a great result, to be honest. I think any point, and people are probably sick of me saying this on this podcast, but it's something my dad's always said, and I still subscribe to it. Any point away from home is a good point. So maybe less so with Leeds, though. I think obviously you need that win just to give yourselves that little bit more room. So we'll see how it goes, mate. But I am really looking forward to this game. I can't wait to just watch it. Like I said before, I think if you were a neutral, you'd be tuning into this match. Fingers crossed we're both playing the Premier League next season. I think, if I'm honest, I can't see Leeds dropping. I think the form you've shown, you have to have a little bit of grit and battle about you. And I think there's a couple of teams below Leeds who definitely don't have that. So I think regardless of what happens in the game on Tuesday night, Leeds will be fine. But thank you very much for joining us, mate. It's been great, this.
No worries, bud. It's nice coming on and getting reassurance from other fans that we will be fine this season.
and just so, in case people want to hear what you've got to say on your channel, they can catch you over at OneLeeds, and of course you've got your own channel, haven't you, which is under your name, Conor McGilligan.
I have, Gav, and bizarrely, the Sunderland content, strangely enough, has got some of the biggest views on the channel. So if you want to head on over there. We do a lot of Premier League content as well, podcast predictions, all that sort of good stuff, topical things. So head on over there. But appreciate being on again, mate, and hopefully we can keep up this stellar relationship.
Yeah, and I'll be on your channel as well. So if people want to see my ugly mug on YouTube and hear what I've got to say about Sunderland for...
Do you know what the funniest thing was? People were like, oh, that's what Gav looks like. It's like 9 years or whatever it's been without seeing your face.
Yeah, I just don't do this sort of thing very often, but you never know what might happen in the future. You never know. Anyways, mate, thank you very much. It's been great.
No worries,
thanks to our listeners. We will have the match day preview tomorrow. All your content over on rotereport.sbnation.com. And if you're not sick of us, make sure you listen back to everything in the fallout from the Bournemouth game. And like I say, we'll be back with another pod tomorrow, so we'll see you then.